In 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome to Mediocre Roman Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and Team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Today we'll be discussing on cozy games. Udon, go ahead and run us through.
Okay. Well, we're going to be doing things just a wee bit differently for this episode, and the episode's going to fall after this because we're pre-recording these. Because when these come out, will be at the time Corey and Edwin are going to be in Japan, and I'm going to be in Massachusetts, so we're going to be all over the place and unable to record. So we're just recording this, and we're going to record something right after this for you people to listen to while we're all gone. And Jordan's going to be at home doing nothing, like usual.
Leave a message after
get a weekend.
But yeah, so we decided on just some chill topics. The first one, as Jordan just said, we're going to talk about cozy games because, while it's not really a genre per se, it's easier to talk about this as a whole rather than be like farming games, then life sim games. Basically, the games people play that are like super chill, like failure is almost like non-existent. It's not a factor, or it's like such a little factor that you don't have. There's no fighting. It's just all about out, usually, making a farm, talking to your neighbors, wishing that cunt villager would move out because they're ugly and you're ruining your town. But we're just gonna have a chill discussion about that because I have a lot of time spent in Harvest Moon games, and when I mean Harvest Moon, I do mean Harvest Moon, the early ones. I don't play the current ones because they suck. Let's just be honest, they suck because Natsume keeps trying and they don't understand how fucking Harvest Moon works, because I believe the creative director left and Story of Seasons is technically the new Harvest Moon because he went to Xseed, but Natsume owned the name Harvest Moon, so we had to call it something different. But I played a lot of Harvest Moon growing up because I think I mentioned it briefly, but my mother doesn't play a whole lot of video games, but the ones that she does play are those. I would play Harvest Moon, Magical Melody, and Wonderful Life with her on the GameCube a lot, along with the GameCube Animal Crossing, and we played a little bit of City Life on the Wii when it came out, but I feel like even Animal Crossing fans forget City Life even exists. And then I enjoy things like Stardew Valley and things like that. There's a lot of farming games that come out now, but a lot of them try to innovate in the wrong way. I feel I'm kind of all over the place with this because like Stardew Valley even adds combat, but the combat is so like one note you don't really even notice it, and even people who don't do games the fighting can do it really quickly and simply. But I have a lot of time in cozy games, and my definition of cozy games expands beyond that because I would even consider something like Vampire Survivors to be a cozy game, simply because like you're not sweating, you're not gaming hardcore, you're not playing fucking Dark Souls, you're playing something that requires much less mental strain to be able to finish than that. But I guess we can just do a quick round table, see how everyone else feels about that kind of games. Jordan, have you played any kind of like Harvest Moons, the Animal Crossings, any kind of those like really chill, relaxed games? Or like, what game would you define as your personal, like you go to this game to like, just be like, I want to de-stress and like not have to sweat about anything. I can just sit here and turn my brain off and have fun.
Mine is 100% the Animal Crossing. It's so relaxing. The idea that I can literally just sit down, play the game, and I'm not losing my mind is always a plus. It's just, you're going around, it's got really chill background music, and you're just doing the simple things. And like, I'm digging up holes to find me some gold bags and maybe try to make myself a money tree. I'm going to go catch me some fish. I'm just going to do some very simplistic things that just are not going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. And then I can go at my own speed, right? It's not like fucking Nook is knocking on my door saying, where's my money, bitch? It's just like, just relaxing and just let me pay on my own terms when I want to. So I always just deposit my money, and I always keep getting that nice big house and just keep running through with the same old steps. But for some reason, it's just a really cozy yet relaxing type of environment you're in at all times, just playing that game, and you're just listening to this good music, and it's just a good time you're having.
Yeah, I do like the music Animal Crossing. I'll go to I fall asleep to like lo-fi versions of those tracks. It's very relaxing. By the way, I know it's a meme in the Animal Crossing community about how Tom Nook's some greedy fuck who always has you in debt. But can we give the man some credit? He doesn't breathe down your neck for the debt. He is willing to wait for 800 years for you to pay off
Correct.
that debt. He's like, that's okay, man. You know, you pay it off at your own pace. He's a nice guy. Can
Well,
we cut Tom Nook a little bit of a fucking break?
well, he hooked you up with a house too when you got there. It's like if you remember playing the original, it's like you don't have a home. You're just like, I'm moving, and you're like, kind of want to know why are you like on this train to
Yeah.
nowhere? What happened?
Maybe
What's
you're a
the
serial
back-
killer that's
Yeah.
escaping, and you just find this little town with these innocent folks
Yeah,
starting a new life.
he hooked you up with a
Well,
house.
they make a joke of it when Rover's talking to you because he's like, "So what's your plans?" And you're like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Wow, you're really fucking stupid, aren't you?" And then Tom Nook is like, "Oh yes, look at my beautiful houses for sale. That'll be what was it like? I think the first loan's like I don't know, 30,000 bells. It's not really that much, but then you basically he's basically like, oh, that'll be $30,000, please, and you basically hand him the equivalent of like a $10 bill, and he's like, "What are you doing?" That's not how this works.
What the fuck is that? Use condom. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I like to
You just
paint my
pull the-
house with all this fish.
Yeah, you pull the lint out of your pocket, and he's just like, "What the fuck?" But then he's like, "Oh," and then he thinks in his head, "Oh, they're just really stupid. And then they're gonna die if I let them sleep out in the wilderness. I guess you'll just pay it off later. We'll get you on a payment plan, you stupid idiot."
That's why you're the only human, because your race is slowly going extinct.
Yeah.
That's how dumb you are, and like the animals are taking over.
Yeah, idiocracy.
Now, when you say that, you are talking about the GameCube version. Have you played any of the other Animal Crossings?
Yeah, I played the Nintendo Switch one, and there is a lot more stuff to do. You know, you pole vault and you're building bridges, you're doing all these other things. But like I said before, I prefer the original just because of the nostalgic feeling that I had from it when I was playing it when I was young, and it's just so easy to pick up. And I'm pretty sure that the new one does too. I just can't remember it that well, but it is very colorful compared to the old one. It's just, again, I got a lot of history with the original, so every time I get a chance, I will jump on and play that. Even my kids are playing it now too, and they dig it. And they actually been playing the newest one because their grandparents both got them a Switch and got them the Animal Crossing games, but they prefer the GameCube one too. So I mean, it must be something nice about it. And like I said, I enjoy it.
I mean, we can get into it more later because I prefer because I mean maybe Edwin would agree with me. We'll go to him next since I know Edwin has played some Animal Crossing, but my personal favorite's New Leaf on the DS. I feel like that's so far has been Animal Crossing's magnum opus. That like Wild World and New Leaf on the DS were like really really good, especially because it was portable. But if you ever had the time, I would suggest checking out those if you like them because I feel like New Horizons is pretty decent, but like in comparison to those, I don't feel like it lives up to expectations in a lot of ways. But like I just said, Edwin, what do you do for your cozy games? And again, it can be personal definition as well.
Because I already talked about it before. It was like I like playing Stardew Valley, though, and I played it like 5 times in like different consoles. But I have played Animal Crossing. I prefer the Switch one over the others, but I do like the GameCube one the most. Specifically just because it's like kind of the same thing that they're doing with Pokemon a little bit, where it's just like they're not just getting like really I get it because it's Nintendo. They're like really childish about it, but it's just like in the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube, there's like the villagers were just like really rude, and it was just very
Yeah.
funny.
Type shit.
Yeah, but it's like the newer ones that I like Animal Crossing for like everything you can do and like all the stuff that can happen in the customization, which is why I like the newer one. Just because of that. But it's like the dialogue is just so repetitive that it's like almost completely pointless.
Yeah, that's one of the it's like one of the probably the most like echoed opinion I hear about it, and I agree with it as well. Because it's just like you come up to a villager and they're like, "Boy, I love sitting. Don't you love sitting? It's a beautiful day outside. Anyway, see you later." And then just repeat that for everybody. You're like, great.
Yeah, because they have such like a strict standard. It's just like no insulting the player because they could be kids. They probably don't even understand half the dialogue in the first one. But it just seems so much more creative and entertaining rather than just reading the same shit over and over again. It's like everyone's just happy go lucky. It's like they're not really doing anything interesting. It's like, look at this bug. Now look at this fish I found. It's like, no, say insult me. Do something.
Make me feel like dirt.
Call me a cunt. Spit on me.
Yeah. Spit on me.
I mean that was half the fun. Is just like talking to people because they actually had something interesting to say. But like now it's just like in the newer one, it's just like customizing your island in crazy ways and your character, and then just like making a crap ton of money with the stock market.
Even like honestly, I mean, it has gotten worse with each iteration of Animal Crossing. I don't mean the game as a whole, just the dialogue, but because in New Leaf they were still kind of insulting. And in New Leaf, when they made New Leaf and Wild World, they made like sending letters to your villagers a lot easier, so people actually use that service, because that's probably one of the most like weird things to do on the GameCube that I hated was the mailing service.
And also you had to do it for the fossils too.
You had to mail in the fossils. God, that was annoying. But I have this distinct memory because I would actually, as a kid, like actually write my villagers letters and like actually, be communicating with them as if they were a person. And what I get in response is like, man, I couldn't understand that letter at all, but man, it made me feel good. Just being like, man, it's like, thanks. I guess my handwriting was terrible or something like that. They're just like insulting my intelligence.
They're both fun in their own way. I think the least amount of time I had was in New Leaf, but I think it's specific because it was Anji's copy. It wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's the one I played the least. Like I don't even play like the new Animal Crossing. It's like I would more likely go back to Stardew Valley. Granted, I'm just waiting for a specific mod to finish, but I can go back and play with the other mods I found.
Yeah,
I should talk about Stardew Valley since I mentioned it before.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like Stardew Valley because I like the kinds of games where you're just like some random character, like to like a peasant level, and then you kind of gotta fix up everything for yourself, which is basically the beginning of the game, where it's like you take over your grandfather's farm that hasn't been taken care of for so many years. There's like, so now it's like all decrepit and like it's just overrun with wood, rocks, and trees. So you gotta like clear it up. But it's like you're like you just moved in from the city, so you're like not physically capable of doing like all that work. So you slowly build yourself up, and then you should like kind of introduce yourself to everyone in the village. You gotta start like it's pretty much like it's fun because it's like a new beginning. And then it's like there's just so much stuff to do. And then even years later, he's still updating it with new stuff. So it's just like there's going to be new stuff constantly. So it's just like almost a never-ending game. But it's like the one problem with it is that there's like to like get the most out of it, you pretty much have to start off the whole game all over again to like get the most out of it. Like do the same like first 2 years, which is basically the end game. But like even after that, there's still like some extra stuff after the second year. It's just when the game first starts, it's your grandfather said he will judge you on the end of your second year. So that's pretty much like the first focus of the game. Then everything else is post game stuff. So it's just a really fun thing to do. It's kind of like Animal Crossing, just with like actual pressure to progress in some way.
Yeah. And even if you fail, basically, I think I saw like the fail screen for when the grandfather like judges you. He's like, I'm gonna judge you based on the friendship you've made, how successful the farm was, yada yada yada. And then like if you did like shitty, he just kind of looks at you. He's like, well, the important thing is that you did your best. I mean, it wasn't much, but you did it.
Yeah, before you couldn't like fix that, but then there was an update where you can fix it. So it's like but you have to. I think you have to sacrifice a diamond for it, which is not super rare, but it's just funny. It's just like there were so many like complaints about failing the first 2 years in the game. That was like, all right, fine, we'll get you like we'll have an update where you can have your grandfather retest your life for the first 2 years.
You can bribe your grandfather to rejudge you. It took me a while to get into Stardew Valley myself. I have put a decent amount of hours into it at this point, because the Harvest Moons I played were all the 3D ones, because Harvest Moon had plenty of 2D pixel art games prior to that. I believe the first one was on NES, actually. If it wasn't NES, it was SNES. So when Stardew Valley came out, while I did like the pixel art, I wasn't in love with it. All my farming sims had been 3D, so I was like, pixel art's kind of weird. And it took me a while to like really get into it. When I did, and I realized how much there was to the game, I was like, God damn, like this is crazy. I think the weakest part of Stardew Valley for me is I don't really care for a lot of the like people in town. I find a lot of them to be really boring. I like the mechanics of the farming and stuff like that. I especially like, as you said, starting over in the game is really fun. Just doing different kinds of things and just like replaying the game. Usually, like a farming sim game really doesn't open itself up much to replayability, but Stardew Valley, for whatever reason, does. I think a big thing that lends into that is the fact that when you start the game, you can choose what kind of farm you have. So it like drastically changes like what your idea is for your farm's going to be, because you can have like the regular normal ass farm, which is basically just a huge bit of open land. Then you can have like a forest farm where you have less land, but you get like special spawns for like berries and stuff that you can't grow otherwise, or like a fishing farm where you have water but less land to build on and shit like that. Like doing all that like really changes how you play the game, and it's really interesting to me. I'm a little perturbed because my latest Stardew Valley game, I was like, oh, I'm going to do something different, because I kind of think the one thing I do think is kind of like broken in the game is sprinklers. It just makes making money with crops way too easy. Primarily,
there's like a whole world like to explore, but it's just like you're gonna spend half the day watering your 200 crops.
Oh no, I understand. Like they are necessary to explore the rest of the world, but it's just like as soon as you get just like the super duper good crop and some sprinklers, which really aren't that expensive to make, then you'll never have to worry about money again, sort of thing. So I was going to challenge myself, and I'm like, I'm going to do animals only. Like I wasn't going to touch crops outside of just the ones I needed to do the community center thing, and I did that, and I hardcore dedicated to it. So I had to scrounge up money by gathering and selling things till I could like afford a chicken coop. And then like after, like I swear to you, like a week after I did that, he's like, "Hey, I updated the game again to where one of the starting farms is like basically meant to be animals only because you start out with a chicken coop and shit." I'm like, mother. Fuck. But yeah, I very much enjoy Stardew Valley. Like I said, characters to me are rather subpar. I don't really care for them that much. They're not really that interesting to me, because Harvest Moon had like crazy characters that were really interesting that I liked a lot. But
I like the characters in Stardew Valley because like at first they seem like pretty ordinary, but there's like one specific character that kind of opened my eyes to like how much they change as you interact with them. And I think it's the blonde pretty girl. I think Haley. Like she's like such a cunt in the beginning, but it's like afterwards she turns into like a really nice person just because she hangs out with you.
Yeah. I'm not saying the stories aren't bad. I just don't feel like the personalities are like, they have their standouts. I'm not saying they're all bad. Just it's in comparison to what I've seen in like Harvest Moon and shit. So I never really interacted with them that much, but I was just a simp. I was just like, all right, who am I marrying? Abigail. She plays video games. Fuck it. That's an easy choice. I think it's but anyways,
one.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. She's probably the most appealing, at least at first glance. Anyways, but anyways, Corey, you've been quiet. How much? What's your kind of cozy games do you like to play? I know Angie likes playing Animal Crossing a lot, but what about you?
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. That's my relaxing game.
Atmospheric, it's not that expansive. It keeps you kind of focused. No, I don't really like approach cozy games too often, but I have like interacted with them, and like it's strange because it's not necessarily a genre that you know that we would use to describe some games from like a while back. It seems to be like this term that people are using now because of like this mass amounts of farming simulator games. But like I've played Animal Crossing on GameCube. I remember the commercials, the live action commercials. That was kind of like Real World from MTV. It was kind of funny, where it's just people in suits dressed like the characters living together, complaining about each other. And then the game came with its own memory card, and I was kind of blown away that it had like its internal time. So it's like, oh, after you did this thing, you actually have to wait a day, and that blew my mind. And then we were like, oh, we could just fast forward the date. And so it's like, okay, well, that, we were just grinding that game, just trying to pay off our houses and stuff. But it was kind of fun because it was probably like my first time playing something where like the world wasn't trying to kill me. I was just like,
well, except for wasps.
Yeah, I guess the bees. Yeah, but it's like, well, I gotta hit every rock with a shovel, pick every plant. Like I had a whole like orchard of stuff. I made fake towns on another memory card so I can go there and get foreign fruit to start another like tree.
That was such the best way to make fucking money easy, was getting foreign fruit.
Catching fish, filling the museum. It like something like resonated. Like I really enjoyed playing that, but like I don't typically seek out this genre. I kind of faded away from them for the most part. But I like the cozy mechanics in some games, but like I feel more or less drawn to just dialed down versions of things that I play like every day. Like Journey, Flower, those games were pretty like they're platformers.
Those are cozy games. Yeah, those are cozy games. I would say,
and those are really fun. They got like a good vibe to them because the music's really good, and you're just kind of like vegging out while you're playing through it. Like Chocobo Dungeon is one that I would consider because it's like, it's still an RPG game, and I played the one on the Wii. My dad also played it, and it was just like, I don't know what that type of game is. The weird, like, you move, they move, and it's that top-down dungeon. I think Pokemon Dungeon is the same.
It's Mystery Dungeon. Because Chocobo Dungeon, I believe, is what pioneered that game, and like every Mystery Dungeon game aside from that is like copying Chocobo Dungeon, essentially. Yeah. I'm 99% sure that that's where it originated from.
Like that one was that one was kind of fun. I have this RPG game that's kind of like a Paper Mario-esque game, but it's called Cruel King and Great Hero. And it's kind of a silly RPG of this like little girl who is like fighting in the woods, and it's set up like a backdrop, and there's this scary dragon that she's supposed to slay, but it's actually helping her. So when she casts fire, she's like looking away from the enemies, and then the dragon peeks out from behind the rock because he's always watching over her and like shoots a little fireball down, so she thinks she does it. And it's kind of fun. But there was a really interesting like city builder type of thing that I was really into, and it's super specific. Because you can, I feel like you can only play it on the Wii, like, download store, which doesn't exist anymore. And it's called My Life as a King. And it's a Crystal Chronicles spin-off.
Wait a minute. Yeah, because that's triggering something in my memory. I feel like I read about that in Nintendo Power, actually.
Yeah, it's like you're a little king, and you have some chick who just basically tells you, like, oh, you inherited this kingdom, and we got to bring it back. And so there's like adventurers that come to you and they want to go like prove themselves, and you send them off on a mission. And so it's like, instead of you being the heroes of Final Fantasy, you're the king that gives the heroes the missions, and you can see how they're doing, and you build your town up, and like, you can advance like the wizard side of town, and then people that want to be wizards, you can move them to the houses over there and level up your like blacksmith store so they sell better armor that your guys can buy. And it's funny because like the most prominent memory of playing that game was I had my main team of heroes, and then I had a second team of heroes that was like literally second best because they would always want to do the big missions and they would always fail. And their leader's name was Almost, and I always kept calling him Almost.
I'm almost the best.
But he would never, like, he was never discouraged from losses. I'm like, can you not ask for these things all the time? Because but I'm like, I'm going to give you a chance because maybe one day you'll do it. But I had the guys that were like clearly the A-listers, And then we have this team that's the anime protagonists that are trying their best, but they're just simply not as good as the main characters, I guess.
It would be very funny if it was just programmed. They're like, it's like, yeah, it's actually almost, and then they're like programmed to finish the quest 99%, but then give up at the very end because that's just the way that's just a joke team.
It's
Yeah.
my curse.
Well, sometimes, basically, I would send them out when the other team was like, I just want to stay home with my family. And they're just like, okay, because they, their energy levels and stuff, so that they can have dinner and be at home and rest. And then
I guess you can have a life.
Yeah. Don't mind me, the little 10-year-old king that's telling everybody to wage war in my honor. But, I do like that style. Because it's kind of a turn my brain off thing, and I feel like there's a lot of Nintendo games in general that I feel that same way towards, like the Mario Rabbids Kingdom thing, because it's like XCOM in a way, but it's not complex, but it's still fun to me to just kind of like, oh, here's a little puzzle, try to get through it. But I'm never like sweating like XCOM, where it's like, how did you miss? You had a 95% chance, and he's right in front of you. But let's see. Another big one for me.
Missed.
Outside, yeah, outside of Sims.
Mist does count. Yeah.
I think.
Sims counts. Yeah, Sims is a big one. Actually, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that was
first.
It was the first and only game I think I ever modded. And basically, what I did was add all the Final Fantasy characters into the game. So, like, I had like this giant castle house, and basically Sephiroth and Cloud and Tifa. And everybody was like living there in their terrible Sims model, because like it's not like it was a character ripped from like the games. It was just a texture map on a Sims character. But I was like, this is so cool.
That's how I was imagining. It's just the old Final Fantasy VII characters in the Sims, so they're all like super.
That
blocky.
probably would have been better because these are just really weird looking. But like I played that game a lot, but it was mostly just to see if I could. It's like, oh. I had the DLC that had the genie in it and stuff, and the death comes, and you could play rock paper scissors to see if you die or not, or he brings you back as a zombie. Mm-hmm. And it would just, I played Sims the way most people play Sims: is build a giant death house and see what happens.
Well, there's two ways to play Sims: either as a cruel god, or you can play it right and live out, the most craziest dream of all of having a stable life.
Yeah.
Yeah, pure fantasy. The biggest fantasy game is Sims. I mean, I played a lot of Sims 3. I'm pretty sure it was Sims 3, because growing up, I never really did a whole lot of like computer gaming. So when I did play Sims, I played the fucking like GameCube or PlayStation ports of them, which were fine, but they weren't as good as the PC ones. And the only DLC I'd ever get was the fucking Dogs and Cats DLC. I never went farther than that because it's always just want a dog or a cat. I don't know. I do remember having some fun with Sims. I just don't remember it a whole lot. It is a very chill game though. Now it just feels greedy. I don't really touch it anymore. I did play Sims 4 for just a teensy bit, just to play it when it came out, but I'm not really into it anymore. It is a glorified dollhouse essentially, but it is still a pretty decent game, and I'd be curious if and when EA decides to make another one, because I think Sims 4 is free to play now, and you just have to pay for the. Didn't one of you post? I think DLC. Edwin did. Didn't you post a screenshot of the fucking total price of all the DLC? Wasn't it over $1,000 or something?
Yep, it was close. It was like $1,250.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot of fucking content. and the thing is, half of those are just the patio stuff pack. It's great.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when The Sims 4 first came out, everyone gave EA so much shit because just making a basic pool, everything you need to make a pool, was a DLC that you had to buy day one. Yeah, it was very fucking stupid. I did not think that's what it looked like. My Life as a King. You just shared a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see if this triggers my memory, because I feel like I've read about that in Nintendo Power when Nintendo Power was a thing. Yeah. You said this was a DS game?
No, it was on the Wii store.
Oh, it was on the Wii store. Okay.
Yeah, it was a digital download game.
That's a shame. This looks really good for a Wii.
Yeah, I feel like it might have had a physical release in Japan, and then we just got like a digital one because they didn't, it's like
Hey,
one of those things where no one's. Yeah, I'm like the one dude in Alaska that bought it on the Wii.
Americans won't want
really
this. This doesn't have guns in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, building a stable economy.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because like it's such an interesting spin-off game that they've done, and I don't think they've ever done another one like this. Outside of like they got Theater Rhythm, I guess the music one that's kind of fun, especially if you're like a big fan of the soundtracks of like Final Fantasy. It's just basically like it has every song in the entire franchise like in this rhythm game that I was playing on 3DS, I believe. But they don't really do too many Final Fantasy spin-offs that are like out of the ordinary games like this.
I have always had like a wish list. I think I have a scheduled for a episode that's going to be all about this kind of stuff, so I won't get too far into it. But I have always wanted like basically theory crafting our perfect games from either our IPs or from our imaginations. But I've always wanted like a life sim Pokemon game where you like ran a berry farm or something like that. Just a spin-off Pokemon game where all it is just chill living with Pokemon. No battles, no nothing. You're just chilling with Pokemon, running like a berry farm or some shit. Like I always thought that would be really fun.
Yeah, but not a cafe.
Well, I mean, that cafe game is fine. It's just it's your typical puzzle game, but because I played it for a little bit, but I mean it's just match 3 in a different flavor. It's fine, but yeah, it's not exactly what I wanted, and there hasn't ever been anything like that for Pokemon. But won't get too far into it since I want to save that for a whole different episode where you're just going to go around and theorize about games that aren't probably will never exist. Essentially,
dream games. Yeah.
Pretty much, it's gaming wish list stuff. It's like I wish this would happen, but yeah, I mean Harvest Moon games. That's where a lot of my experience came from. I'm trying. I played a lot of Magical Melody. Wonderful Life is technically my favorite because I like the setting more of it being like it's a lot more like I don't know, dour, down to earth. I guess nothing's perfect. Everyone's kind of a weirdo in this like town. It's the same fucking story as any other farming game. It's like, oh, your grandpa died and he left this farm to you. Well, get out there, and but it's like really difficult. Like Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, and they did actually come out with a remake of it recently called A Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. Because again, as I said, they can't use Harvest Moon anymore, so they just use the subtitle. But I don't know, I thought it was fine, but they go so far with the realism in that game where it's like you can only get milk from your cow if it recently gave birth, essentially. That's how far they go with the realism. Plus, especially in the old games, watering your plants is like akin to like, I don't know, strapping your nipples up to a car battery. Like fucking it is actual pain how difficult it is to water your damn plants in that game. Mm-hmm. Shocking. Whereas stuff like Magical Melody is significantly cartoonier. We don't have to worry about the fucking pregnant cows and getting milk and stuff. You just get milk from cows if you have a cow and it's an adult. And with Magical Melody, it's a lot more cartoony and like happy, and you can actually upgrade your tools, kind of like how they do in Stardew Valley when you upgrade your tools and you can like water larger areas and do like more stuff with one swing. So it's a lot better progression wise. So Magical Melody was always my favorite, and I still have it for my GameCube, and I actually have the guidebook for it as well. But I mean, I also said earlier that I consider games like, Vampire Survivors, and I play a lot of Hollow Cure as well, which is just weeb Vampire Survivors. And it's just a game to turn your brain off and just chill. And it can be any game. I mean, technically speaking, I play Rogue Legacy sometimes just for the fuck of it, even though that game does require, a modicum of brain power not to die. But it's just a game where it's just like, you die, whatever, you fail, whatever. I did play for a little bit was Graveyard Keeper, which was an interesting take on.
I heard there were a lot of bugs in that game.
I didn't encounter any. I think the only thing that I didn't like about Graveyard Keeper. So Graveyard Keeper, for anyone who doesn't know, is an indie game where it's kind of, obviously inspired by these, slice of life games, farming sims, but different. You are a guy who's got basically got isekai'd into a world, and you're the new graveyard keeper. So you manage a graveyard. So you actually have to like get corpses, prepare them for burial, bury them, take care of the tombstones and stuff like that, and maintain your relationship with people in the village and stuff. There is no like actual farming; it's all about the graveyard thing. But the game is significantly more like narrative heavy, so there is like a story to do. Like there's things you have to do to progress the story, and grinding in that game is significantly harder.
I'm from what I'm imagining, it was like, I got nothing left to do today. I have no corpses to bury. Well, time to make some.
Yeah, time to die. I mean, I liked it. It was a bit too narrative heavy. I think when I look for games like this, it needs to be open ended. Just be like, yeah, here's a world, here's some stuff you can do. I mean, I like it in Stardew Valley, and Harvest Moon does it quite frequently as well, where there is like an overall goal, but it's not. There's no time. It's not time sensitive. It's not like bearing down on you. It's just like a thing to do should you want to quote unquote complete the game. Whereas Harvest Moon in Magical Melody, basically the harvest goddess got turned to stone, and you have to collect all these notes, these like magical musical notes by doing certain things. They're basically achievements, more or less, and you have to collect those and restore her back to life. And then in A Wonderful Life, the game ends after so many years, and you actually have to get married, I think, within the first year to like progress to the second point of the game. Like you actually go through your life in Wonderful Life. You progress from just being a farmer, you get married, and then you have a kid, and then your kid is actually influenced by the people you made friends with. To where at the end of the game, you basically get an epilogue saying what your kid's going to do with his life, whether he's going to take over the farm or do something completely different, depending on who you interacted with. And at the end of the game, you just die. Like you just die of old age because you did your life. You're done. There is like a
game over. File deleted.
Yeah, file deleted. You're done. We get real realistic around here. And then Stardew, it's the community center, which Edwin was talking about earlier about like your grandpa grading you, but it's more about the community center as far as like actual progression goes, because the grandpa thing's like a checkpoint for like how well you're doing, but then like in Stardew, basically the equivalent of Walmart is trying to move into this old town, trying to take over, and you have to like restore the community center by giving it certain items, and you get pretty good bonuses and stuff when you complete them too, so it's really rewarding and actually helpful to do those things. I really liked how Stardew does like progression and rewards, especially like leveling up certain things. That's another thing that lends itself to Stardew. I forgot about that. It was the skill tree. You level up all your skills by doing different stuff around town, and then at certain level intervals, you get like a choice of a perk between two different perks, and that like can completely change how you play the game because they're actually really good perks, but you can only pick one. But I that's probably one of the few farming games I actually found myself like doing that task, because to be honest, I never did it in Harvest Moon. I didn't give a shit. I'm like, Harvest Goddess can stay as stone. Doesn't really affect me at all. I can still farm.
Well, it's funny because in Stardew Valley, it puts itself as a farming game, and like the community center kind of is like as you said, the progress bar for that. But it's like in Stardew Valley, you actually have the two choices, because your grandfather will judge you on 4 different aspects of the entire game, and one of them is what you do with the community service. So you can actually betray the entire town and help the Joja Mart, the equivalent of Walmart, which is funny to say.
Yeah.
And then help them take over the entire town. So that's kind of the evil route.
Yeah, I actually like that though. You have a choice. It's like, yeah, you can just be a dick, and like because I believe in because it's thematically appropriate, and it's even funnier because you're not locked out to the rewards either when you go with Joja Mart.
Yeah,
so like
makes it easier, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, it's thematically appropriate. It's like you can take the easy route and it's like a membership you have to pay to Joja Mart to like they'll be like, oh, now we have everyone in town as a membership, so we're going to take over the community center and turn it into a warehouse. And they bulldoze the community center and put a warehouse there. Now it's useless. But Because like when you do the community center, when you complete certain rooms, because each room has like certain things you have to give it, and it unlocks something for you. Usually like like a greenhouse and some shit like that, like something good, something that opens up the game more. All that stuff is still open to you. You just have to pay Joja Mart to do it, and it's just based around money. That's it, not about things. So I think the only thing that's locked out to you is that you don't get the movie theater, which is like an extra reward you get when you do the community center.
I think it's updated. I think and eventually you can pay for theater.
Well, then there you go. I mean, I like that you can choose either route and you're not locked out to anything. You're just a dick. And everyone
you're locked out of. I think you're locked out of like Pierre because his shop closes down permanently. I was like, well, it's like you should have fucking been open on Wednesdays, you dick. That's why Judge Amar was beating you.
You need to be working all the time. Well, it still doesn't like cut, because I'm sure whatever you could have bought there is now available at Joja Mart now, though, right?
Yeah, well, Joja Mart sells everything Pierre does, but Joja Mart is open 24/7, while but their prices are a little bit more expensive than Pierre's. But like, it's every fucking time I need something important, it's always on a fucking Wednesday when that dick is closed.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, now I gotta pay extra for Joja Mart. I'm trying to give you business. I'm your only fucking farmer.
Yeah, how dare you not be open 24/7 just for me? But, and then, I don't know, Animal Crossing kind of has it, but it's just in the form of your debt, because that's really the only sense of progression, I suppose. At least in the earlier ones, you have more stuff you can do, and then there's side stuff like doing the museum, catching all the fish and the bugs and stuff. You know, what's kind of funny is that I never did. I couldn't stand it too much. Especially because I don't play it time travel-y. I don't time travel. I just play it day by day. Fucking, you know, I have funny trivia is that technically we got I think it's the third version of Animal Crossing was our first one, because Animal Crossing originally released on the N64, and it was called what was it called?
Animal Country?
It's something along those lines. Animal something. But yeah, the first Animal Crossing technically released on the N64, and then they had
Animal Forest. That's what it was.
Animal Forest. That's what it was. I knew it had animal in it. So it was. Japan called it Animal Forest, and it was on the N64. And then I believe they had Animal Forest Plus, which was like the sequel with added stuff to it. And then what we got was Animal Forest E Plus, which was a port to the GameCube, and they had all those previous features plus the e-reader compatibility. And, you know, again, for those uninitiated, e-reader was another Nintendo peripheral that failed, where you could scan in cards to get extra bonuses in the game. Basically, think of it as a really early iteration of Amiibo cards and Amiibos themselves, essentially.
That's funny. Just brought that back 20 years later.
I know.
Yeah.
For the same fucking game. But yeah, except this time it worked. But yeah, so I just found that that's a fun piece of trivia, that the Animal Crossing we got was basically like the super deluxe edition of what it was originally. And it's even funnier because in the Japanese Animal Crossing, you don't have to do chores for Tom Nook either. He doesn't force you to work. He's just like, all right, yo, money, get out there, go find it somewhere.
There is like a actual hard, like, not like a hard ending, I guess, but Animal Crossing. But once you finally pay off your house, they build a statue of you in the middle of town. And if you're sharing the game with multiple people, it builds the statue based off of who pays off their damn house first. And so on my game, I was playing that with my friend Ben and Mason. And, we were doing the thing, cycling all the fruit and everything, trying to get our houses paid off. And I didn't know about the statue thing. And we were trying to get all the furniture sets and all this crap. And then Mason's like, hey, can you give me like 500, or like, I think it was like 500,000 bells or something like that. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so you can like leave gifts for people in like their mailbox or something. I was like, why? He's like, no reason. And then he logs into his save, goes and pays off his house first. So in the middle of my town, there's the gold statue of Mason. And I was just like, son of a bitch.
What a dick.
So, like, when I paid my house off, there was a like little silver statue of me, and then whoever pays off next is like a bronze statue, which is kind of funny. But that was like the you've completed the game type of thing. And then if you want to actually start over, you have to like just delete your save, I think.
Pretty much.
Or you delete your save just so you don't have to see that statue every time you log in.
Just like, damn it, man. Well, I mean, I did lose the memory card, which I think was the one that came with the game because the game itself occupies an entire GameCube memory card space, which is wild that it needed that much save data. But I mean, I guess I can't really imagine why it needs that much save data. But
I think it's just probably, I don't know, think about it. Like when, like, it's probably just in case memory sort of thing. Because like, can you imagine all the data it probably has to save if you have like 4 people all with really upgraded houses and a shit ton of fucking like furniture and stuff in it and whatnot. Like I could imagine that would take up a significant amount of space. Which another thing that people really liked about the original Animal Crossing was those you could play NES games on it. Like there's sometimes you can find the little NES games in Tom Nook's store, and they're just like little. They're just the games. I think it was something like Excitebike, Balloon Fighter, Ice Climbers. I think.
Ice Climbers was in it.
And then there's technically Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda, but they're like in the game files, but they're not actually like available in the game. You could hack them in, but Tom Nook will never have them in stock. And that was always a fun little thing, because it was just literally those entire games. They're just there. You just have to get them and put them in your house, and you just play them. They never did that again, and I can understand why. I mean, well, I can and can't, but they kind of brought it back in the DS version where you had something similar, but it wasn't like old Nintendo games. It was like their own little mini games inside the game that you could do. It was like Island Survival or some shit.
I think I did what like everybody does, and I turned my basement into just like all my NES games, and then I also had all the decoids or whatever the hell they are, the weird little dudes that make noise.
The fucking gyroids. That's the word.
I was just like, oh, what the hell is this? And then so that was like a whole collection thing. But it was, for a GameCube game. I mean, I guess GameCube isn't really that dated. Middle ground retro, I suppose, but it had a lot of content. There was a lot of, furniture sets. You could make your own wallpapers, and basically, so you could make like the Nicolas Cage staring at you thing. But what we were trying to do is we would make like Mega Man or like Link and put them on a sign. It was kind of fun. Yeah, just finding like pixel patterns to like make shirts and things like that, because you could pattern your hat or whatever. So. It definitely did a good job at keeping you occupied in this little tiny area, because it's not a really big game, but it's very dense with like stuff.
Possibilities.
And even still, like the fetch questy like nonsense that they provide the player with, it doesn't matter what the item is, it's exactly the same thing over and over again, where it's like, hi, I'm blank animal, go give blank item to other blank animal who happens to be on the other side of the island or something. And you're like, okay, and you grab this, walk over there, and he's like, wow, thanks, man, here's some wallpaper. And you're like, but okay. And then, you just do that and then go fishing. And if you're, God help you if you didn't save the game when you turned it off, and you get a visit from an asshole. And then, and he yells at you for like 5 minutes straight. And then there's, or if you've been gone for a while and you go talk to somebody, they're like, oh, I thought you died. I'm like, where have you been? It's been exactly 273 days since the last time we talked. And you're like, oh, God. Like, this game does definitely guilt trip you. Also, like, they have, like, seasonal things, too. So there's, like, events that take place. So there's always something to kind of, like, look forward to in that game.
Like, I was shopping around, and this item reminded me of you, so I'm giving it to you. And it's a fucking trash can.
You piece of fucking garbage.
Yeah, the seasonal stuff I really like too in the Switch one, because just like there's just more of it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, sort of. Let's not remember what the fuck Bunny Day was. God, that was terrible.
Everybody has eggs.
Yeah, and you're like, oh boy, it's an egg. It's like, oh, I want the fish, and it's an egg. It's like, great.
I mean, like, yeah, and then, Animal Crossing also gave us one of the worst party games ever made. That's stupid shit. But
Funny though.
like I didn't go out and get Animal Crossing on the Switch. But from what I've seen on it, like the stuff people are doing with their islands is like really crazy. It's like the customized things. I know my mom plays the game. Angie plays it a lot. You invite people to your island, and then like you can go to other people's island. They made like an obstacle course, or it's themed after like something like.
Well, I mean, there's a whole fucking website that fans have created called Nookazon, where they're like trading items and bells and Nook Miles tickets just cross, everyone like making deals on a third party website just to get a hold of all these things, and like money is like no object to anything. I just feel like because the whole like I mean, Horizons obviously is the natural evolution of Animal Crossing. It's like, well, you can customize your house, but what if you can customize everything? And it's cool, but as we discussed before, because of how boring the villagers are, it kind of loses a lot of the charm the older games had. Because they kind of started this with New Leaf. Because in New Leaf, while you can't customize like the landscape because in New Leaf the story, quote unquote, is that you're the mayor, so you get to make like decisions for the town. And you have the ability, I believe, to make new bridges and like fountains and stuff. You can add things, but you can't like terraform the landscape. And then there's like a whole like market street above the town in like own separate area. There's a bunch of new stores in it. That's really cool. Kind of made the whole town feel more alive. Because I think I complain about it, is that Horizons doesn't feel like you. Don't get me wrong, you can make crazy looking islands. I've seen what people can do. I am not nearly good enough to fucking do that. But stuff like it doesn't feel like even a big town. You do feel like still like a stranded desert island, because as much as those towns are pretty, it's just decoration. Because I believe Horizons is the first Animal Crossing game where the Nooklings don't make a big like multi-story complex like store. It upgrades once into like this little homely store and then just stays there forever. And I'm just like, that sucks. Like, that's lame.
I liked the evolution of Nook's store as it would grow to like another visual sense of progress.
Yeah, and like in not New Horizons, fucking New Leaf, you had the Nook, because like I said, above your town you had like a little main street basically, and it had the Nook store, and it had like basically think of all those people that are on Harv's Island in New Horizons, which that was added in a free update, where you had like Kix the shoe skunk and shit like that, and fucking like Sahara the wallpaper camel lady. Like there was so many like unique stores in that little like space up top above your town that it felt like lived in, and the more people moved in, the more you did in your town. So again, it was just like more progression that felt rewarding. Whereas like in New Horizons, it almost feels like the progression is just like what you choose to do with your town essentially.
That was a big complaint when the game first came out, because multiple people can be on the same Switch to play the same island on Animal Crossing, but if you weren't the first person to start the game, then you don't get the same like tutorial beginning, like terraforming the island and all that. So it's like if you join the game and the island's already made by the first player, you just live there. You don't have to deal with Tom Nook or like any of the stuff that you do when you first started the game. And a lot of people are complaining about that. So it's like if you want to like experience like the actual beginning of Animal Crossing New Horizons, you would have to buy a whole new Switch and then just start the new game there.
Yeah. Like New Horizons has a lot of stuff that is good for the series. Like terraforming the land is a very cool thing that it should have been included. Another thing, and also being able to control where the animals actually live, like being able to move their houses, that's also a really good thing. Just having outside customability is very neat. And they added farming and stuff like that later, which was kind of neat. Obviously, it's not, super intricate. It's just you can grow plants instead of just flowers now, which is neat. But then, it suffered from, the animals are basically just decorations now. They're not really, characters, because they all sound the fucking same. You just get all the ones that are cute or pretty, and you just want to put them on your island to be thematically, appropriate to whatever you're going for. And then progression feels slow because there's people like me who, while I'm creative in other ways, I can't visualize what I'm doing on my island, nor am I going to sit here and time travel every day for like hours on end trying to find stuff in Nook Store to use or use Nookazon. Like playing it at my own pace, my island just ends up looking like meh. It's decent. My house in my area looks nice, but the rest of my island looks like no one lives there because I'm just concerned with what I'm doing.
I wonder who's a rich house.
Trust me, in my town right now, I basically take up about 45% of the island is just my property.
Jesus Christ.
It's my property. Anka has about 20% of the island, and then everyone else is crammed into the other corner. So I prefer New Leaf. I know I'm not really doing a great job explaining why New Leaf is better. It seems more simplistic, and the sense of progression is way better. Because I feel like that's a thing that these cozy games needs to do well, is a sense of progression, because they almost function kind of like mobile games. Like they're meant to be taken like really, and when I say mobile games, I mean kind of mean like gacha games and stuff like that, because it's like you build up this power, but it does take you like kind of weeks or months, but there's just like you slowly but surely get better and better things until you tackle bigger and better stuff. And in Animal Crossing, at least how you're intended to play it, and I don't have anything against people who do want to time travel. I just find it really annoying to having to constantly go into like the Switch menu and stuff to change the date and time. It's just annoying to me, so I don't do it. More power to you if you want to do that, but how you're intended to play it is that you're supposed to take it one day at a time. And that was another thing. Early Animal Crossing, especially New Horizons, you ran out of shit to do really fast.
Yeah.
And that was really annoying. But I didn't really care for like the Nook Miles thing, because it again kind of made the game a little bit like a mobile game, because it's just like, oh, log in and do your dailies, get your Nook Miles, and do all this other crap. I'm like, can't we just keep it at bells? I do like in New Horizons that bells kind of are a lot easier to come by, because in the original games, especially in the GameCube one, unless you were playing the turn-up market perfectly, getting money in those games was so fucking difficult outside of using like glitches and shit. I remember playing, I was trying to pay off like maybe my third or fourth loan, and I'm just like, I'm back to the fishing grind. God, I hope this is a red snapper or not. Nope, it's a sea bass. My 11th one today that's worth like 100 bells. Yay. But Animal Crossing does hold a special place in my heart. I probably wouldn't put it in, it might be in my top 100 somewhere, maybe near the bottom, but it's definitely just like a chill game. Very, very just, I still get like itches to play it, and I'll just sit down and play Animal Crossing occasionally, but then the urge to play it disappears as quickly as it came. Let's see. Does anyone else have something kind of, like I said, against the grain, kind of like how I said I consider like Vampire Survivors my own personal kind of cozy games? Anyone have like a one game that you would consider kind of like that?
Yeah, because I was going to bring it up, I don't typically, seek out these types of cozy games often because of the whole like meant to be played forever thing, and like I usually complete a game, put it on the shelf, move on, and so but like the mechanics that they do have, because it's like I do like this, but I do want this to end. That's why I was like fast traveling in the original Animal Crossing. But like it's called a game on PS2 called Dark Cloud, has this like city building aspect where you run into a random dungeon, so it's kind of a roguelite, and it plays like Zelda. They advertise it as the Zelda killer, but guess which game's still going? But they had this really cool mechanic, and you don't see this in I would love to see an indie version of this. But you go into a dungeon, you try to find these like orbs, and inside the orbs are pieces of the town, because the towns are like everywhere in the game has kind of been wiped out because of like a insert dark evil bad guy here. And so when you come back out, you put a house down and a guy's there, and he's like, hey, I really like seeing the sunset. So it's like, okay, well, when I build his house, I need to make sure that I rotate it so he's facing the sunset. And then you build somebody else, and they're like, oh, I really like living next to the bakery. And it's like, okay, so I got to put him on the bakery. So there's it's like a puzzle, but you're building a town out, and you get to see like, the game itself grow around you. And then like when you complete that town, that usually means you've completed that dungeon, but you don't have to complete the town like 100%. But when you do, there's a great treasure that you'll get at the like as like a thanks for helping out the town. Here's like a ultimate weapon like item you can use later, and then you go to the next town that's like a jungle themed town this time, and then another one it was just like a Middle East bazaar type town.
That kind of reminds me of how Dragon Quest Builders worked, actually, the campaign in that game.
Oh, yeah, that was a game I kind of wanted to get into. I mean, that also really falls into the category of like what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
What was it? Because Dark Cloud did it. I liked the base building of Ni no Kuni 2. Like, I just really enjoyed, like I don't want to do that only, even though, like I just talked about, My Life as a King, like, and that's all you do, but it had like a lot of intricate things going for it too that was like still like micromanaging like RPG parties and quests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like in Ni no Kuni 2, you're building your going out and doing missions for people, bringing them special items, upgrading their town. But it's like the more you upgrade this town or your kingdom, you get items back to you that help. So you're like kind of you're looking forward to building up your town because you're going to get items to go fight these bosses and stuff. But that game, is primarily like an RPG adventure game, not a base builder. It just has this mechanic in it that I do like, which, Dark Cloud had, and I enjoyed that. But I would consider, like, because cozy is kind of a newer genre word that people are using. And you see it all the time when there's like 15 farm games that are announced on like a Nintendo Direct or something like that. And it's like, oh, Harvestella and all these other ones. It's like, okay. But I like to think about games that are more like comfort food that I just want to sit down and like kind of play and just enjoy it. Like Catherine might sound super stressful, but I like puzzles. And so, like, getting there to talk with people and getting that, like, story of it, and it's like, oh, this is really cool, it's chill. And then it's like, here comes the puzzle part, you do that. And I feel like that puzzle part is just there to give the players something to do, because when you're at the bar, you're just kind of moving dialogue around.
Yeah, it's just basically a visual novel.
Yeah, and you get to choose, like, responses, and so people kind of react based on that. But, like, to be fair, it's mostly just this one story that you're going to hear, and then you get a puzzle every now and then, so it's like, oh, I have to pick the controller up kind of thing. But, I really do like playing that. But also for me would be games like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI on like Super Nintendo, because it's pixel art. I like the music. It's nostalgic, and I don't have to like really try because I just know what I'm doing already. So I've kind of turned it into my own cozy game, because it's like, oh, I've played this so many times. I'm just going to turn it on and just see how far I can get in an hour.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel about like Shantae Half Genie Hero now. I can just like casually 100% that game without even really thinking about it at this point. And I just turned. I was like, I just want to play Shantae. Just go around, do that. It's not it's not necessarily a super stressful game to even begin with, but yeah. Fucking. It seems like you like kind of city builders, but with combat. Have you played like Rune Factory at all? Like that's another one.
I do have a Rune Factory 5, but like I don't know, something about it was just kind of. I just couldn't get into it, I guess. I mean, maybe it's just like the direct farming aspect of it, because there's a lot of like micromanaging of stuff you got to do, and like I do like the base builder side of things, but I also am not necessarily a big fan of fetch quests in general in games, and I just try to avoid them. Like even in like Skyrim, someone would be like, "Hey, can you go get me these things?" I'm like, "Nope," and I'll leave. And then like Fallout, I do the same thing. But if somebody's like, "Hey, there's a big gun at the top of this tower," and I'm just like, point me in the right direction. It's like Rune Factory has like gear and stuff, and the combat's okay. And the one that I have, it's when they changed from like that top-down view that they used to have into like more of a like behind the character third person, but it does go to that top view when you walk into the farm. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't like a big fan of the graphics because it was like right after that change. So I'm sure like maybe the one after it is better. But I know I think a lot more people would prefer like Rune Factory 4 to Rune Factory 5.
Yeah, Rune Factory 4 is like the only one I had a lot of like experience playing. I have Rune Factory 5 as well, but like you, I had the same sentiment. I tried to play it, and I'm like, there's just like something about it that's not drawing me in. Maybe it's just I don't know. I don't really kind of I don't care for the waifus. Rune Factory 4 had way better waifus, but
Yeah. Well, I was playing what is it? Ys. Well, I don't really know how to say it again. It's YS, and there's like a franchise that's been expanding across the years. I have a few of them. There's a new one coming out. But I had played Ys 8, I think it is, and there's kind of like a base building aspect to that one. But it's definitely like 70% go out into the world, fight monsters, and uncover things on this island. And then, occasionally your base is attacked, so you have to like prepare it and level stuff up, find people, and get them what they need. And that one was kind of fun. Like I tooled around on that one a bit. It's decent graphics. I mean, it's kind of like early PS3 graphics, I would say. But that was also a franchise that had that like kind of pixel art 3D, kind of like Wild Arms style, where it was top-down camera, and then they, switch over to this more follow camera, like Xenogears style approach. And, I do like getting to go out, find stuff, bring it back. But, at the same time, I played Stardew Valley, and I couldn't really get into that game either. And, you do that when you go into the mines. It's you go down there, you fight some people, you bring stuff back. And I feel like maybe I like this one more because when it's nighttime, the game doesn't really make you go back. You're like, well, we got to go to sleep now. You're running out of energy. It's like you could just play. I can't remember if the game gets, like the enemies get like a difficulty buff if you're fighting around at nighttime, so it kind of encourages you to go back to the camp, but you don't ever have to like stop running around fighting stuff if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Something just popped in my head. One of the older ones. I mean, anyone here ever play either Sim City, Zoo Tycoon, shit like that? That stuff easily falls into that category.
I played a lot of Theme Park Tycoon, honestly. I think
Dino
Jordan might
Tycoon.
remember Theme Park Tycoon.
Are you talking about Roller Coaster? Roller Coaster
No,
Tycoon?
it's actually called Theme Park. It's just called Theme Park Tycoon, and it's weird because I don't think I've met a lot of other people that have played it, but as you complete a theme park and you hit all your landmarks, it'll be like, okay, cool, now you can get a Halloween theme park. And then so you do the Halloween one, and then you get another one, which is like a dinosaur themed one, and then a future themed one. And you can actually go down onto the ground and like walk around and kind of ride your rides. Mm-hmm. But it was because I didn't play a lot of PC growing up. I've covered that before, but this was one of the games that I did have on PC. And every time I'd bring it up, it was the same thing. Like what just happened. It's like, do you mean Roller Coaster Tycoon? It's like, no, it's this really specific game, and I'm gonna try to find it so I can share it with you guys.
I actually think I've seen Brutal Moose fucking play what you're talking about, because I feel that how you're describing it sounds familiar, but I haven't actually played it.
Because people will just be like, this ride's too scary, and it has that same thing of like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but Roller Coaster Tycoon is like way more technical. Whereas like in this game, like there's a roller coaster that you can put down, you don't really build it. So it's like you select rides, you select booths, you're putting together basically like a Disneyland. But in Roller Coaster Tycoon, or like you can do water parks and stuff like that and build like all the loops and everything. But this one was more of just like the whole, I guess. Mm-hmm. That Jurassic Park one, and then I played a lot of Dino Tycoon on like old school PC when I was like a little kid. Mm-hmm. That one, that was really fun. Like you hatch the eggs, and you're like, oh yeah, I got a freaking T-Rex or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, he got out of the pen. Crap. And I know Jurassic Park does the same thing, but like everybody at your park, if a T-Rex gets out, like they all start frowning. And it's the same thing with like Zoo Tycoon when a lion gets out.
That's what you came here for.
Yeah, the lion's out and everyone's sad. I used to do that, because I was playing the Zoo Tycoon. I would like build this giant savannah, and then I would put like a bunch of like gazelles or something, and they're all happy. And then I'd drop a lion in there, and they're all just 100% sad. And I would just be like, "This is going to be funny."
Yeah, I mean that's the natural, progression of playing Zoo Tycoon. You're like, all right, we're gonna put some gazelles here and some giraffes here. Oh, here's a lion pen over here, and then you just make the best zoo in the world. Then you're like, release the lions. What, sir? Release the lions.
I said we're closed. Did
Yeah.
you not hear me?
Sir, there's a huge fence blocking the exit. I'm like, release the lion.
I have infinite money. Oh, that's what. Okay, so it's not called Theme Park Tycoon. It's called Theme Park World. I'm gonna share this. Yeah, this is like fever dream art. So I'm gonna
Big differentiation there.
yeah, Theme Park World.
Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my god.
Have you not ever seen that before?
I've never
No,
seen
I
that.
haven't, and I wish I didn't. To be honest with you.
That looks
No, it's-
looks like early 2000s, like bad 3D cartoon. And what the hell is with that font for the name?
Like this is what a park looks like when you're selecting levels, because you got to get these things to, as you progress through the game. There's like different themes of parks. Haha, name of game.
Why is
But
the island floating?
it's just like the level select screen.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh my god! Why
their
does this look like
competition
hell?
obviously was Sims Theme Park, and clearly Sims Theme Park is definitely a better game. But like I used to play this shit a lot. Here's a crunchy image of it. Like this is the like primitive theme park one. So it's just they have it on PlayStation. Wow, that's
my
crazy.
god!
I'm gonna have to find it on PS1
It
so I
looks
can
like a
play it.
slightly more colorful version of Roller Coaster Tycoon,
This
which is what I
looks
was
like
playing.
visual vomit.
It's not as bad as what he's describing. I mean, it is pretty rough. But
No, this is rough. Don't downplay this.
Yeah.
so basically, you have like a gate, obviously, like the front entrance, and then you can make paths, and like you set your bathrooms up, you set your prices. You have to have janitors to clean it because you have a sanitary level. You got your different rides for excitement levels, and then depending on like the park you're at, like either a ferry will come by and a bunch of people will come to the park. You set your price. Some people might not come in because they think your park's too expensive. It's the same thing that you get from like the typical Sims theme park games, but this was the one I played, and so this was we have Sims Theme Park at Home version of the game. But I played
That's
it.
how it was for SimCity for me. I had the DS version of SimCity.
Yeah, I think I played this game like every day for a while. It was just kind of fun. The only sim game that I really kind of got into, and I think it's because I could go down and experience the park I built. So that was kind of like fun walking around and seeing the rides and getting on the roller coaster. And it wasn't just the roller coaster; you can get on like the drop ride and all the other things too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one was fun. I totally forgot about this game until like just now.
I mean, the way that I played the Roller Coaster Tycoon is I just take out the largest loan I could from the bank and then just make crazy ass roller coasters that no one will want to ride.
Again, it almost followed the same thing as like Zoo Tycoon, where it was just like you make like a really nice park and then you get bored and then you're like, make the tallest thing. Like you basically just turn a roller coaster into a giant catapult. It's just like it goes to nowhere. It sends you straight to heaven.
Burger
At least you're
weapon.
not stuck in the theme park.
Yeah.
Has anybody played Flow? That was on PS3.
Oh, that's that was the same people that made Flower. I believe the company's called That Game Company. That game's fun. You start off as like a little like amoeba thing or whatever, and you're just kind of like eating other bacteria.
Absorbing other ones as you're going through it.
What?
It's playing really chill music in the background.
Yeah, it's such a just
spore ass.
yeah. You just like constantly grow and like you're just a bigger centipede thing, and the way that the levels work is like you just start going like higher and higher into like I guess like another level. Like it doesn't actually have a lot of UI. You just kind of listen to music and just play it as long as you can.
And there was
But
another game you played, Corey. What was that one that you used to play a lot that was on PS3 and it played like a guitar sound every time you were like killing things? It was like Everyday Shooter or something like that. I can't remember. It was
Yes.
something else.
Yeah, I believe it's called Everyday Shooter. Everyday Shooter video game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
because it's like
you just shoot
hand-drawn.
things. Yeah, hand-drawn drawings, and when you shoot things, it's always like playing like a riff or like a guitar string, like fling, fling, and then it starts like making music. Yeah.
Yeah, that game was that game was such a like chill experience because the way that the enemies worked was they would come in based on the music that was playing. And the bottom bar that you have there in the image I sent is like the track, so you see how much of the song you have left. And when they die, it like plays part of the song too, so they're not just like obnoxious sounds. It'll just be like a drum or like a guitar like riff or something when they're fading. So everything is just very like cohesive, which is nice. Like the art is very simplistic, but it's a fun game. I don't think there's that many levels to it either.
Yeah, and then for me personally, I mean, I actually dig rhythm games a lot. I don't know, I always like being able to listen to music and such. And then, like I said before, like I'm a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, and the fact that I was able to purchase on the Switch the Final Fantasy Theater rhythm game, that to me was actually very cozy, because even though you're doing battle, it's not like chaotic craziness or anything. It's just your guys are just strumming along, and you pick your characters from each Final Fantasy game that you like, and then you're picking each level based on a song from the series itself. So you go and you're like, I want to play some music from Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 1 or whatever, and then you'd pick the level, and it would always have one like a decisive battle song, the boss battle song, or just like a random level song that you could play. And then while you're playing the music, because you're literally running I guess like a bar that's going up and down, you're pushing buttons to the beat of the melody. And so even when you're making mistakes and messing up, it doesn't do like that obnoxious rock band, or whatever Guitar Hero, where it just makes you sound like horrible, like you suck. But, when you guys are beating up and stuff, and you're leveling up your characters, they get more moves, and you guys are doing summons and stuff that you have on the side. So you have like this cool background that's like all chibi looking like characters running through, and they're fighting bosses and such to get like to the next level. But as you're doing that, you're actually listening to a really cool song, whether it be really relaxing like the Terrace theme, or you're listening to something really crazy like the Sephiroth song for Final Fantasy VII. So it's like you get to pick and choose as you want to go. And it was cool that they included like the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, a part of that series as well. And I think it was like 1 through 13 or something like that. I can't remember, but even though it was
doesn't it also play like the cutscenes in the background?
For some of them, yeah. Like if you do like I think it's the theater mode or whatever like that, and actually like they have visual like cinematic trailers in the background playing to certain the songs that you play. And the one that I got the DLC, so they actually included a ton of other games. So I think they had like, I can't believe, some Hero something, like they have a bunch of Chrono Trigger music and some others as well in that big giant DLC. It was kind of expensive, but I think you had like over 100 songs. It was really cool, and so you could just literally play them as you went. And like for me, like I said, you're getting tired of doing all this crazy battling stuff on the side, and you can sit down and just whip out a Switch, and you're just playing it, and you can play 2 players, too, so somebody can join you. It's really nice.
I mean, the only rhythm games I have much experience playing is not counting Guitar Hero because I sucked at it. There's the Hatsune Miku games.
There's cozy.
Yeah. I'm playing Hollow Cure, which I just said is cozy, but I just fucked up. But I played a lot of the Hatsune Miku games, especially one, I can't remember the name of it exactly on the DS that they had it on, but I don't know. I don't consider those cozy because I'm sweating my ass off when I'm playing them. I am like locked in on rhythm games. I'm just like, I gotta fucking do it, because if I fuck up, I'm gonna lose all the good juices in my brain. I just had another one in my head. I guess explaining why on those Vampire Survivors and Hollow Cure, it's just like, it extends to roguelikes in general, but it's just a game you can just turn on and play. You're not expected to, beat anything. There's no one to talk to. You just get in and play and see how, just do this run, see how it feels. And when you understand, especially in Vampire Survivors and stuff, like how each item works and what combines with what, you're just kind of casually like, oh, I got this run. I'm going to use this with this. What kind of build am I going to make? It's just kind of chill. And then there is, like Corey said earlier about all the games that they're coming out with, all the new farming games. I feel like new farming games are trying too hard to be different because they're always trying to do something new and weird that I don't feel like works all the time. Because like a lot of them try to add combat or something like that. Like the only one that I've seen come out recently that I'm like even somewhat interested in is that Farming Ga or whatever, the fairy tale looking ass. And that's only because it's like a creature collector at the same time. I think that's an interesting like take on it because again, it kind of scratches that little bit of an itch that I was just saying with the Pokemon Farm kind of wish list game. It's like it's a farm, but you have a bunch of these creatures helping you. But also, obviously, in the trailer, there's a lot of combat involved because it's like a Pikmin style kind of thing. Which I also learned. Thank God it's coming out on PlayStation because I'm not playing that on fucking Switch. It will run like ass.
Well, it's I think that those games are trying very hard to have like a strong narrative to try to pull in players like me because they're like, oh, it's one of those like let's make a game for everybody, and it's just like, dude, I'm definitely not going to do that because I know you're probably going to make me farm to level up, and I don't want to do that because I mean I didn't play it. I know Edwin did that Rice and Ruin game.
Yeah,
I almost played it. I was actually at the yard sale thing I go to today. I almost grabbed that for Switch, but I just wasn't sure if it. I guess Edwin, you can answer it now. Does it run well on Switch?
Yeah, it actually runs surprisingly well for how it looks.
All right. Well, if I go.
Of Rice and Ruin. That's what
Sakuna, Rice and Ruin. Yeah, because I saw it was like $20 at the yard sale, and I was like, I am interested because after you were talking about it last time, I'm like that sounds like something I'd like, but I was like, I just couldn't remember if you were saying it ran for the Switch or not, and I was like, fuck, I don't know.
It ran well on the Switch. It was like literally considering that it was like a mainline Pokemon game runs like ass. It was like I can't believe that like one of the largest products in the world that runs like ass like eventually and like on the Switch.
Yeah,
it's like the standard is now like very low, but like Sakuna, Rice and Ruin, I don't think I've ever had like an issue with it. I think the only issue that I had with it is considered I would consider it a cozy game, whereas like half of it is like combat and the other half well, the combat is more like a roguelite because you have to like get as far as you can to collect like monster parts and stuff to like ground up into like fertilizer and stuff for your crops. But as Corey said, it was like that's literally what it makes you do is like the only way you can level up in that game at all is by growing rice, which so that's like the rice part. So it's like, but my God, it is extremely detailed with the farming aspect of just rice because it tells you, but it's like it's still really hard to do. But as you level up, it gives you like an easier time to do it. Like it gives you like a grid of your farm, just like just perfectly place them this far apart, and then you'll get like better score. But like the camera is not your friend in that part, so it's still really difficult. But it's like, the positioning of the rice, the temperature and level of the water, and the fertilizer you use, and it's just so fucking much to like understand because, regardless if you're farming or going out into the wild to fight, the time goes forward and the temperature of the water and the air changes throughout the day. So you have to make sure that it's like, that's like, it adjusts for like the daytime and at nighttime. So it's just it's kind of infuriating, but I'm sure like people understand it more than I did. But I would still consider it a fun game. I still beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost picked that up. If it's still there next time, I might go back and grab it. If it's still there the next time I go see them, because they're opening up now, and they might have a copy of Pokemon Emerald I might go get. But
For like
yeah,
$200.
yeah, it's expensive. But I was actually taking inventory of all my Pokemon games today, and I'm just keeping this in the back of my mind because I'm going to try and collect all of them. And I actually found out that I didn't have any. You joined the call right as I was done talking about it, but I realized when I was taking inventory, I'm like, I have no idea where my Omega Ruby is. I have the case. I don't know where the fuck the cartridge went, and I checked everywhere it could have possibly been, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, God damn it. But then I went to that little garage sale they had, and they had one for like $30, and I was like, sweet, that's an easy replacement.
Yeah, I had a similar issue with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I beat it one day and I immediately lost it the next. So like, well, at least I beat it.
Yeah, at least you beat it. I mean, and as I was saying, I was like, I bought the Mega Ruby, and like tomorrow I'm gonna find where the fuck I put it. Like it's just gonna appear. I'm like, oh, there it is. Now I have 2 of these, I guess. I mean, Pokemon, I guess technically is a cozy game for me. I mean, I don't make it a cozy game because I hate myself, and I want to challenge myself. So every time I basically play an old Pokemon game that I'm used to playing, I always nuzlocke it just because I hate myself.
That was going to be my question for you guys, because I know that we kind of were pushing it for a single month for the month game, but I think that if it was again like we had our time to do as we want, to be able to go through and explore things, take it at our own pace, I think I would myself consider it a cozy game as well, because like you're not in a hurry. You go at your own pace. You can go to Elite Four whenever you choose to. You don't have to do it right away. You can be able to go out and capture all the type of Pokemon you want to, and then like I said, like I usually would have always enjoyed, after beating the Elite Four, going to go capture Mewtwo, but like I was just in such a bad state of mind that I just didn't even care. But I think like literally if I would have taken it a lot more slower, I probably would have liked the game a lot more.
Yeah, I can understand that. I just like challenging myself when it comes to Pokemon, so I Nuzlocking for me is fun. I like starting over in Pokemon a lot, but yeah, Pokemon is easily a cozy game, especially if you're not taking it too seriously. Again, as in the call when I was doing you missed it, Edwin, but I was like, the best thing about buying a pre-owned copy of Pokemon is looking at whoever had it last time's what their save file looked like. And you would have been unimpressed by this guy, some guy named Kobe, and he had just a team of those basic bitch Pokemon you can think of. He just had his Swampert, Latios, the Mightyena you get at the beginning of the game, and fucking I think it was like a Manectric that knew Overheat for some reason, and like I don't know. It's like there's coverage, then there's just like dumb coverage.
It's one of our viewers.
Oh. Oh, Kobe, I'm sorry. I gave you a D- on your Pokemon save file because outside of your main fucking took you 9 hours to get to Fort Tree City. What the fuck are you doing? You didn't even catch any other Pokemon.
Yeah, it's better than me. I get him F minuses, so he's doing all right.
I mean, like a lot of time when I go back to a Pokemon game, I kind of make a Pokemon team beforehand, and it's like, but I choose Pokemon that I've never used before or I would not normally use, and then I just like try and go through the game with just those Pokemon. I just more or less leave out the starter Pokemon, so it's just like, got starter Pokemon, dump in the trash, and I'm gonna get another one.
I do that for the really, really old ones. It's harder for me, especially with like X or Y or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because Mega Evolutions are too goddamn tempting. Because it's just like, how can you not? But because I remember you were actually saying you were playing X and Y the other day, and that I kept thinking about, I'm like, I kind of want to play X and Y too. I just kind of want to go back and play some old Pokemon, but I've been playing Scarlet because at the same time, like, I want to play old Pokemon, but then Scarlet's going to keep looking at me and being like, God damn it, I'm just going to finish this stupid DLC, finish the fucking Pokedex, and I never have to look at this thing again. I go play good Pokemon that I like. But yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of one kept coming back to me, but I kept losing it because we kept talking about other shit.
I mean, there's like, I forgot how much I talked about it, but apparently, I honestly wouldn't consider it. I mean, I guess it would kind of be the same as the other ones. As like Cult of the Lamb is considered a cozy game, which is a little weird. because it's pretty much, it starts off with the game like saying, like you play as the last lamb, or I don't know, goat or whatever. You would consider yourself as like, so I guess it would just be lamb in the title, because you can name the cult whatever you want. It just default it's a cult of the lamb. But basically, you're just gonna start a cult because you're the last lamb in the region, but they're trying to sacrifice you. So you got to like build your own cult under the god that the other gods were trying to sacrifice you for, to keep them in chains. So he gives you something called I forgot what it was called. It was either the black or red crown, and then that's what gives you your powers. But what it is like it's like a roguelike type of thing. You try and go as far as you can, but if you die, you lose like half the stuff you're carrying. But what you do is like you go into a dungeon and then you get as far as you can and try to beat the boss, so that way you don't lose anything. And then you come back with materials, food, and then maybe new followers to like do chores for you and to worship you, because that's how you get more powerful. But you got to take care of your cult as if it was like your own village and you're the mayor. So it's in that kind of fashion. You got to build them beds. You got to feed them. You got to give sermons and everything. So it's like that's the only way you can level up. But the problem is that there's so much shit that can happen to you, and then it's also like your villagers can get old and they can die of old age. And then, like, the more experienced they are, the more points you get in leveling them up. So, as you level up, you get like more powers, like more satanic powers. So, if you have like a very experienced and high-ranking follower, and they're dead, you can eventually just resurrect them young again. So you can still keep their level, and then they just like grow old again, just so they can get more powerful. But then but some of them go out of line, so you gotta teach them a lesson by locking them up, torturing them, or just make an example of them and then sacrifice them.
Just so you get to die when I say you can die. You're not done being useful to me.
Yeah, it's very funny, but like also as you progress through the game, they're like, because it's things still go on in your cult regardless if you're there. So they can like prepare food incorrectly, or they get sick and like spread it throughout everyone, so they can die of an early death. Or like the other gods, when they find you, they're gonna fuck with your villagers. That's what pissed me off the most, because like every time I ran into them, I was like, stop fucking with my villagers. It was very annoying. It was like, no, I was at a good place. But it's just like, it's very funny. And then you can also get them high on shrooms, so like nothing affects them. It's like they just stay in line for like a day, but then they all get sick afterwards. But it was a fun game. But it's like I beat like the first part of it, but the post game is just like playing through the whole thing essentially all over again. So it's like, I kind of like went through the whole thing. I kind of don't want to do it again. I would assume it's different the second time around, but yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. Like right after I just beat it. And it's kind of like the same thing with Moonlighter. Like I also, it's I guess it's a similar fashion. Granted, you're just taking care of a shop, but it's like it's literally the same thing. It's like, oh, you beat the game. Here's a new dungeon that's twice as hard and also less forgiving. It was like, I'm done. That was enough for me.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm done. I did remember what I was trying to bring up earlier. That seems really obvious. Fucking Minecraft.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't now. Calm down now. Don't throw your praise out too fast.
You always give shit to Minecraft, so it's funny just hearing you like bring it up. I was like, I was gonna bring it up, but I was gonna let you remember what it is. I was like, oh, it's fucking Minecraft, of course.
I like Minecraft. I just don't play. I mean, I wish Minecraft had more stuff to like. I mean, it still has that same problem that I have with Animal Crossing, but it's just a personal problem where it's just like it's almost too free, and I get to a point where I'm like, well, now what do I do?
It has a really
Like,
awesome like main track that's playing though, so it's super chill.
oh yeah, it's definitely a chill game. It's like not oppressive at all. I mean, it literally has like a peaceful mode if you don't even want to deal with the monsters, but that also locks you out from getting a bunch of items and stuff that you can use.
I think
It's
when I played Minecraft, it was in alpha still. There was like what it is today is so different than what it was when I was playing it in like 2012
I mean, I played it when it was on the
or
360, and the fucking world was
2010.
limited, and it wasn't like it wasn't a endless world.
Now it's like so much shit, but it's like it's all randomly generated, so it's just like
Well,
some
the
of that
amount of
shit
stuff
is like
people
it
can
doesn't
do.
even exist in your world.
Yeah, like the stuff people have done with it is just so crazy. Of just like building one for one scale Hogwarts and things like that. It's like holy crap, man! Y'all got some time.
Yeah, y'all got fucking
But it's
time.
super impressive. Like I'm not sitting here
Mm.
like haha nerds, whatever. It's like wow, that's
I mean,
freaking crazy.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the people who make really crazy islands in Animal Crossing. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
you dedicated yourself to that. You fucking earned that shit. Damn. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I really like
I-
the mods for the Minecraft. There's some really crazy good mods for it. Granted,
Oh, yeah.
I can never get any of them to fucking work. I can barely get a shader to work for some reason.
Ugh.
Yeah. In the chat, I shared a game that I feel like is a really like relaxing like JRPG experience. In the
You
game,
showed this to me. This is on the Switch, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 3 of them. It's the one I played was the Isle Dragon Roars. Then there's the Forsaken Maiden and the Beast of Burden. But the game's franchise is called The Voice of Cards. And I think they made 3 of these games in like a year. Like it was very fast. But the way that it plays is it's just like all these cards are face down on a table and you got your little piece and it plays like a board game. Like you flip a card and you move to it. And then sometimes you go into battle, which is like a board game. You got your little gems that you spend on skills or you roll dice. And its music is really, really good. I think it's published by Square. If I believe it's published by Square.
Yeah.
But it's just so chill of like an RPG experience because like instead of it being this giant open world where you're like running around and like picking up crafting items all the time, it's just like this narrative like story that's pretty straightforward. The characters are all voiced and like the design of it is really cool and it's just you're playing like a board game by yourself kind of thing and it's I had a really good time playing the Isle Dragon one. Like I just something about like seeing all the cards face down. You're like, well, I want to flip it. Like maybe it's a mountain you can't cross or something. But it's something. It's like uncovering the board feels cool, but it's much like when you're playing like a board game in general or like a dungeon crawler. It's just like, well, what's around the corner? And I mean, I would highly recommend anybody that likes JRPGs to play The Voice of Cards because one, it's not very expensive, and you get 3 full games if you get the trilogy pack. And I think the guy who worked on Nier is a part of it because, like in the Isle Dragon game, I got the DLC, and it changes your animal partner guy into like the smiling dude from Nier. Mm-hmm. And like the costumes, I think, changed to be like Tubies or something like that. But you can get the music too, and like a dice cup and things like that. So it's really kind of neat how they approach the like just the overall experience of this game because it's so simple. And it's funny because Square also released another board game-esque style RPG game at the same time, and I feel like they were just trying to see which one would do better. Obviously, this one got the 3 games, but one of them is more like a D&D map, and you're moving on paper, and you're actually moving like a character piece. But that one, for me, didn't like draw me in because it seemed really boring. Whereas, like in these screenshots, you can see like there's a lot of color involved. That other one was very like sepia tone. Can't remember what it was called though, but Dungeon Crawler is going to give me Square. Yeah, but
Dungeon Crawler.
Oh,
yeah, here comes like every single thing. Oh, right there. It's called Dungeon Encounters, and the game itself is just super just watered down for some reason. I don't know. I can't get into it, like, because all these screenshots are just like this, and it's like, this one's red. Yeah, this one's red. This one's green. It's a different dungeon, and I'm just
fucking
like,
level of detail. Jesus Christ, that looks boring.
Playing on a map, and it's like, I don't care.
Give me this card thing any day.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather play Chocobo Dungeon instead, because, like, that's the same thing. You're in a dungeon crawler that's basically just a grid-based random generated dungeon. Mm-hmm. And, this, I don't know what they're trying to do with that other one, but it just does not look appealing at all. So I got Voice of Cards instead and was very pleasantly surprised. And I think I bought it for like $10 when it came out. And I was like, damn, this is like a full-blown game. Like,
yeah, this one's literally just like a grid of squares on a piece of paper, and then you have a 3D model just walking it.
It looks like a digital prototype for like an actual board game.
It looks so bad. I was like, what is the combat even supposed to be?
Yeah, I have no idea. I just see numbers on the ground. Right. Like they have a cool. So this is why you click on it, right? Because they have this cool title screen, or like the splash art draws you in with this labyrinth-esque like enigma, and then it's literally just, well, it's that, but all the time. You're like, oh, I thought it was going to be cooler.
I thought it was worth my time, but apparently not.
Yeah.
You guys
I'd much rather play anything else.
Do you guys think Plants vs. Zombies is like a chill kind of game?
Yeah. You know what? You know why I say yeah? Because that's one my mother has played over and over and over again. She has beaten that game so many damn times.
Yeah, it's very simple. Just like, there is. I know that they have them coming at you really quickly, but they got like a really chill music. Even when you're having like the boss battle stuff, it's not crazy. It's a very simple game. Going from them coming at you, and you're just putting up your defenses to survive them from trying not to eat your brains.
I was an Angry Birds player myself because I just couldn't get into Plants vs. Zombies for some reason. But it took me forever. But once I got a smartphone, like when I got the iPhone 3S, which I had forever, I was like, dang, I can just download anything. And it felt kind of like the feeling of having the Xbox 360 where you're just downloading demos all day. And so it would be like, Angry Birds. I know people were playing the Plants vs. Zombies stuff, and the characters and stuff seemed fun, and that franchise really blew up. I mean, they turned it into the freaking team deathmatch first-person shooter game.
Then EA ruined everything, as they always do.
Let me just take this for a second.
Let me make this money-grubbing and horrible. I mean, I don't hate Garden Warfare. The first one was fine. I thought that was actually pretty entertaining, but after that, meh. I remember Plants vs. Zombies primarily because in school, in high school, they had they came out with those e-reader things, like the Nooks and the Kindles and whatnot, where you can download books. So I live in a town where I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. I don't even have a bookstore here to get to the nearest Barnes and Noble or Books A Million. I had to drive an hour to get there. I'm telling you, man, you come down here, I'll show you what fucking country rural life is like. There's nothing. But my point being, I had a Nook, which is the Barnes & Noble version of an e-reader, and you could download games on it, but the teachers at school didn't know that, so I downloaded Plants vs. Zombies on it, and when I brought it out in class, they never said anything to me because they just assumed I was reading a book. But I was playing Plants vs. Zombies all the time. It was so funny.
I was also read novels with going, son of a bitch! You're like, what? I'm like, sorry, I'm just really into the story.
Yeah, and the character died. I really liked them.
I mean, I liked playing Puzzle Quest. That was another one that was really fun for me. I mean, that's just a match 3 game, but they had that whole RPG element of it where it's like you're in a battle with something, so you're matching things to attack them, and it's like, this is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a quick pickup game. I mean, the phones are phone games have evolved so much over the years because what they used to be, just drawing with friends, tap golf, Angry Birds, which is basically a ripoff of Crush the Castle and Armor games. But now you can literally play Genshin Impact on your phone. It's
well, maybe.
Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends and whatever the
Paper
what's
toss.
the oh yeah, that's what I was playing. I was just playing Paper Toss the whole time, and then all of a sudden it's like we have Diablo Immortal, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But I mean, I'm not playing
Paper
that.
Toss.
Yeah, back to Paper Toss.
Sad.
Yeah, or like Pokemon Go. I mean, I would consider that a cozy game too. I've put hours.
No, I have to go outside. Fuck that. I have to move.
Yeah, well, if you lived in the apartment complex I was at, yeah, like I kind of wish I was at Grand Oasis when like Pokemon Go came out, because when I moved over like to the other side of Dale Mabry at Palermo, there was like no Pokestops anywhere near me, and I was like, everybody that has a fountain has a Pokestop there, so I tried like, you should put a Pokestop, because my apartment was right outside the fountain, so I was like, please. But like going to the park and stuff and catching Pokemon and
Get robbed
when
at
I
game
had to
gunpoint.
yeah, when I had to move back to my parents' place and they were in Clearwater, like I used to just walk that strip and as like a workout and just, well, one, burn alive because it's the Florida sun, but I would basically walk like 3 miles just playing Pokemon Go, and they had a gym right outside of their condo like place. I would go out there and take that gym over, and I was earning, you get in-app money from doing that, and I was like, all these kids they're not adults, they can't just leave the house at 3 a.m. and go take that gym over like I can. So I always had that gym. It's just every day somebody would take him, like, and just get off the couch and walk out front real quick and just take it back. But yeah, that one was really fun to play. I mean, it's super simple, and it's I know that Harry Potter tried to do it, and I just couldn't get into that one. And there's like a pirate one or something. I think that was the original one that they made, but I just didn't care about that either.
Minecraft tried to do it too. Minecraft.
The one
Really?
thing I thought I was gonna be, the Minecraft world or some shit. No one talks about it. Now there's a Monster Hunter one. I don't even want to know how the fuck that works. But the one thing I was actually looking forward to when I moved back into my hometown, I was like, oh, I can play Pokemon Go and just like run this town, because certainly everyone's playing that fucking thing, even in this tiny ass town. So I was like, I'll take over this gym stop, and I like 10 minutes later it's gone. I was like, God fucking damn it. It's like, I shouldn't be surprised. There's nothing to do in this fucking town, so of course they're playing Pokemon Go.
I'm gonna have to like re-up my bag, because if I'm gonna go to Universal Japan, I want to see what Pokemon they have at their park. And
right.
Just make sure I snag one or something while I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because like I remember turning Pokemon Go on when I was in Vegas, and there's so many Pokestops on that strip. It's like, oh my god, gyms everywhere. Same thing when you go to like Universal or Disney or something like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
The City Walk. We went to Myrtle Beach, and there's also a bunch over there. That was pretty fun. But I'm like, I don't have any bag space, and I don't want to delete any of these Pokemon because they're all different. And I'm like 1 coin away. This is the stupid part of like the in-app purchase of buying a bundle of coins. I'm like 1 coin away, literally, of just expanding my Pokedex. And I'm like, I'm not buying this. I'm going to try to find a way to earn that stupid coin by sitting in a gym for like 10 minutes. But, when you're in one of those areas that's like super dense like that, you take a gym over and then all your Pokemon are dead in like under 5 minutes. We would go to the mall, the Citrus Park Mall, and like that's all people were. It's such a like simpler time. You're just walking around, and like I remember a guy walked up to me when I entered the mall, and he was like, "Hey, what's your team?" And I was like, "Oh my!" Like everybody just knew who was playing Pokemon Go because they're walking around with their phones out, and it was just this cultural phenomenon. It was it was such a cool thing to see.
I felt left out for like a year because when the game came out, my phone was so old it couldn't run the game. Like it wasn't even on the App Store for my phone, so I had to wait like a year until I had a phone that could actually run it. I felt so left out when it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, not only did it have like that like giant, literally the "you teach me, I teach you" thing, everybody telling each other how to like get stuff and how to like throw the ball and all that stuff. It also had some really funny news stories of like people walking into traffic and things like that. There's definitely a kill count of that game because of what happened. All these people, they like, cities having to tell people to stop coming to graveyards because of like there's a gym there or a Poke Center or something. And like every church I think had one, and like everybody was just showing up at places just because there'd be like, you know, some private property company, and then they have a fountain out front, and then all these like just nerds show up and stand around outside because they're all trying to catch this raid boss, and you're like, I don't get it. Why are all these people
nerds? Fucking nerds. I remember that time. I mean, tangentially related, but remember when you and me and I think Travis was sitting out in front of the Best Buy waiting for them to open because we were trying to get amiibos, and like the manager comes out and is like, "Why the fuck are all you people out here?"
Yeah, I was like sleeping on the floor just to get like Ganon or something like that.
Yeah, I don't even remember who the fuck we were waiting for. We just say we were lining up for amiibos at a Best Buy, and like the manager comes out and he's just like, "Why are y'all here?"
Oh no, I was thinking the other one when we went to Toys R Us and did it because we were sleeping on the sidewalk because we had to get there at like midnight and the store didn't open until 9 the next day, and there was like when we got there at like 11 or something because we got food first, it was literally already like 20 something people in line. I was like, holy crap, y'all are gonna just sit outside this long? And then sure enough, it's like, damn, I guess I should have brought some blanket or whatever. I'm just standing here and I don't have a phone charger.
Yeah,
and I think Travis was just sprawled out on the sidewalk laying on the ground.
I mean,
but yeah, the Best Buy one, they were like, what are all these nerds doing here? And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to give your company money.
Yeah,
so I'm keeping you employed.
Yeah, just ate one of my
employees. That was ate one of my employees. That was the thing. It's like, just ate one of my employees.
He's a big fat dude, and he's like judging everyone there. It's like, shut up, fat man, open the store.
He's just mad the line was too long for him to get in and also get one.
Yeah.
The only other time I think I stood outside for something like that was when I was getting the Wii, and it was like, I think Jordan, you were with us. Wasn't that like negative 10 outside, and we're standing in line?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was cold
and
as
it was
fuck.
like, yeah. Well, they were doing like a midnight release thing, but like we all had to stand. We couldn't line up until like the store closed at like 10:30 or something. But like the shitty part is we had to stand outside, and the Wii came out in November, and you know it was cold as shit in Alaska. And this guy drove up because I think I was like 12th in line or something like that, and the line had 180 people in it, and they were like, "Well, we only have 100 Wiis," and they also weren't allowing people to do just one and move on. Like I bought 2 that day because I was buying one as a gift as well. But this car drove up to our line, and they were like, "Nerds!" And then we're like, "You're just mad because the line's too long."
Right.
Yeah, because if you didn't get a Wii at that time, it was so hard to find one because they were just flying off the shelf. Like, because everybody was buying one. Like, even your like grandparents and aunts and uncles were buying one because they're like, "Oh, I like this sports game." And it's true, I do like the sports game. I'd come home and Dad would be playing like bowling in my room like every freaking day I came home from school.
Yeah.
Dude, I was fucking at that yard sale today, fucking buying Omega Ruby, and I also got, what was that fucking I already forgot what the fucking PS1 names. The PS1 game I grabbed was
Frontier Saga.
Frontier Saga 2. There we go. Thank you. There was a guy asking about fucking Wii Sports today at the little yard sale. I was like, God damn it, fucking people still play this shit. not that I think it's bad or anything, mind you. I like Wii Sports as much as the next guy. It's just funny that people still want it, you know?
It was a good comfort game.
Yeah. We've gotten way off topic, by the way.
No.
I guess, I mean, I was just thinking about it as the Wii. It's not really a comfort game, but just like something that, like, I don't know how to describe this. Nintendo had this thing going on where, like, they made their more mainstream games had, like, a co-op mode, but, like, the second person playing, it was meant for being, like, really young children or adults that don't really understand the game. Because, like, I'm thinking specifically of Mario Galaxy on the Wii. Because if you had another Wii remote and the other person could have like another cursor on screen and they could collect all the star bits for you and shoot the star bits, but that's all they were able to do because it was really easy. And that was actually something that I did with my mother a lot, is that I would play I'd be the one actually playing Mario Galaxy and she'd have another Wii remote in her hand just because she called it collecting the sparklies because she fucking liked the fucking little star bits that you collected. But I can't name any, but I feel like there was several other fucking Nintendo games that had something like that, where it had like a pseudo co-op mode, but like the second player was just like basically easy mode. You just did something like really simple, basically. I remember if there was any other that I actually played that I remember. I just remember that being a thing for Mario Galaxy.
And like, what is it? Super Mario World 3D World. there's like the Bowser, like the Dark Bowser mode or something like that. Whereas like if you can play, the second player can play as Bowser Jr. and he can like help you get some like
there you
like
go.
cat shine sprites and stuff. That's the only one I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was one that you can like paint on screen or something like that. Maybe like the Blob or something like that. I don't remember.
The Blob. I remember that's what I definitely remember reading about Nintendo Power.
It was very okay.
Yeah, it's kind of the
pretty bland.
consensus I got from it. Well, unless anyone can think of, I mean, I don't want to force it if we don't have to, but unless anyone can think of other games they consider, cozy or just relaxing games that they have, we could wrap it up here, I suppose. No sense in just sitting here trying to stretch out a conversation topic we've taken to its limit.
Yeah, because we would just be finding like, oh, and then this thing.
I mean, we already went off on a tangent of fucking Pokemon Go and shit.
Well, I mean, it is a cozy game. At least it feels that way because it was super simple. But yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how I take my mobile gacha games, honestly, because just doing my dailies is just so cathartic in those games. Basically, it's just a nice comfort thing to do. And like just real quick, do my dailies. Don't have to stress about it or anything like that. When I want it, when I want to do the challenge content of the game, I'll do it, but I don't have to. Just something that occurs when I want it to. I can either sit down and play my gacha game super seriously and do a bunch of new shit, or I can just log in real quick, do my quick dailies, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of like tower defense and idle games that I find on the App Store. But I feel like most turn-based games are pretty chill. It's like especially if you like already played it before. Like the first Paper Mario I played so much, I would consider that like a very chill game for me. Same for Wind Waker, considering you're just sailing on the seas and hearing like the water splash and seagulls chirp.
Yeah.
Or cry. So it's just like there's like things like that. I was like, are very chill. I was like, just really good ambience.
I felt like that in between certain sections playing Breath of the Wild until something wanted to kill me. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this world is so nice, and they're fucking goblins.
Yeah. I mean, I like walking around and just kind of climbing stuff in that game. I like gliding around. It just felt really good. And then it's just like, Lionel. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
Guardian. Zap you.
Yeah.
It's the sudden change in tone is like, I was like, oh, it's just really nice, and then you just hear dun 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 dun. It's just hear like a beep 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 on the laser pointer. Like, that shit always is like that's his own horror game. It's just that. It's like no longer a cozy game. I'm sorry.
I'll speak for. I mean, kind of tangentially related. I'll speak for my friend Tim. I'm sure he would probably consider Resident Evil actually a cozy game because he just speed runs it. One? No, I'm serious. I mean, wouldn't you kind of consider that, Edwin? Couldn't you play Resident Evil 4 at this point without even really thinking about it? I mean, you're not going to get scared by it, right? You've played it so many times.
Yeah, you just enjoy the journey.
Yeah,
Mátalo.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to a point, you can. Especially like the older one, the 2005 version was like that one's like a lot more chill because it's not like super dark. But like the newer one, it's just like, yeah, this is kind of hard to be chill about because there are some like pretty difficult things. It's not like it's not because it's just like a hard or difficult fight. It's just maneuverability is the bigger challenge because it's just like a narrow space and then like a bunch of enemies around. So the one part that is like never going to be chill for me is just fighting the two blind Wolverine type characters with the metal claws. It was like you can't kill them unless you either have like a rocket launcher or you waste a ton of bullets, or you maneuver around this short space while dodging every single other enemy and then just shooting them in the back. Like that part will never be cozy for me, but like the rest of the game, kind of.
I mean, like I said, I'm not saying Resident Evil in and of itself is inherently cozy. It's not. I was just providing another example of a subjectively cozy game that you would know about.
If anybody's listening and picks up Resident Evil going, oh, that game they're talking about, and then plays it, they're like, when the fuck does it get comfortable?
Yeah.
Well, because I thought you were gonna mention like the first like 3 Resident Evils where it's just like the fixed camera angles. I thought that's what you were talking about, not Resident Evil 4.
Well, I mean, I was just like I said, I was just providing it as an example of something that people
is a
know
cozy
about.
game.
No, would you not? Honestly, would you not? Every time I see you fucking play games, Jordan, the only one you're not yelling at is fucking fighting games. Fuck, you were playing that Soul Eater one last night and you're having a blast. I didn't see you fucking cursing, swearing, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, he's right.
Because he's
well, like,
because when he plays, he's not really losing progress. It's just like a fight that is like, oh, it's like I can either stop it here or I can just fight someone else.
Yeah,
yeah. Fucking.
I mean, I guess any game that you like play like the back of your hand, you know, it's like, you know, that's just comfort food. You know, but somebody might be struggle busting with some, like, you know, someone might pick up Dark Souls and be like, oh my god, this game is so hard. But like, I've played it so many times that like I just like picking it up and just being like, all right, let's do this. Like, it's not like I know I'm like, oh well, he killed me. That's because he does a lot of damage. You know, I'm not sweating like somebody else that would never. Like when I first played Dark Souls, it was more of like a cautionary tale of blocking. But you know, now it's just
a cozy game that's like not cozy, but it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand because well, the other thing too that's kind of funny is people use the term cozy as a mask for just saying boring. For a lot of the times when describing stuff, because some people will be like, this brand new cozy game, and it's just a farm sim. Like that's usually what they're using to describe it as. But like, I guess if we really wanted to look at like, what's a game that you play when you're relaxed and you're not like, you know, when you don't have to sit up off the couch because you're like you're like, Jesus Christ, you know, this game is fucking getting my ass. Like Zelda Ocarina of Time, I like the music a lot. I can just pick it up and play it. You know, I've beaten it so many times. Dark Souls 1. Final Fantasy 9 is another one where it's just like I'll just pick it up and play it because I just like listening to what's going on. Final Fantasy 10 is another big one.
Shadow of the Erdtree.
You know, yeah, maybe not Elden Ring. Well, Elden Ring, I do like walking around. Like the atmosphere of it is pretty fun. Like I turned it on this morning and was just kind of like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of running around.
You turned it on this morning because you fucking woke up and it was already on.
No, it wasn't even finished. I had to install the whole thing again, so I had to install like everything. So it was ready to go. Same thing with the 130 gig update or whatever Fortnite. I didn't even play it. I just turned it on and was like, okay, there's the cutscene, turn off. It's like whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I know that those games are definitely not comfort, or they're not cozy games, but they're comfort games for sure.
Kirby is definitely one. I completely forgot what I was saying.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, well, especially certain Kirby games, especially fucking Epic Yarn. That's the one I'm looking for. Because Kirby games do have a hard mode. It's just usually just the post game stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's a cozy game until you're up to fight God.
Yeah, up to fight.
Kirby
God.
just has a mad face the whole time.
Just frowning.
No, that's the terrifying part. He's like, he's always goddamn happy while he's eating gods. He's just like, hey, Pollo.
I cannot be stopped. I'm inevitable.
Yeah. I am inevitable.
It was like, those are his first words he ever speaks.
Yeah.
Like, what is he? He's like the remaining essence of the Big Bang, and he will consume everything that he has created.
Yeah.
It's like if someone is like, because Angie shared like a video was like, oh, this is what a black hole sounds like. It was like, oh, so that's exactly what Kirby sounds like then. It's just
that's what happens when you get eaten by Kirby and you're just sent to the pocket dimension where everything he eats goes.
Yeah, it's like, I still have to go because I was like, I brought up Kirby because I was looking through my Switch. I was like, what cozy games do I have to Switch? Because that's usually what I try and put on the Switch because I can just take it anywhere. So I was like, I saw Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I was like, oh yeah, this game is like really nice, pretty calm,
very nice.
But, like, the boss fights are pretty epic.
Yeah, it's nice, calm apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, it was like Kirby games are like not super hard, but they're like very consistent in popularity. So I was like, it's just like it's just really chill. It's just like under the radar of like all the other ones, like Zelda and Mario. It's like you have high expectations for them, but then here's like Kirby just smoothing along, like under all of them in popularity. I am forever. I was like, I will always be here because I am loved by Nintendo and not over exaggerating or like trying to make like insane amount of sales. I just exist as a puffball.
Yeah.
No, pink.
As you were saying, like stuff on your Switch. Again, I mean, they're games. I'm not going to say they're not games, but I mean, they're just an upgraded book. But visual novels, obviously, very cozy, unless you're, aside from the emotional trauma, depending on whatever you're reading. I still can't wait to crack into Fate Stay Night Remastered. It's out now. I just haven't started it yet, and I really want to, but I'm saving it for when I'm on the plane next month, because obviously it's probably a really good time to do that, and I'm going to only have my Switch with me while I'm up there, so might as well wait to crack into it at that point.
You just play all those Sakura light novels, and then just like forget you have the volume on and get to all the pointy stuff.
God, there's so many of those fucking things.
Just leaning over to the person.
There's way more than I thought. I was like, this is a lot more popular than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Just leaning over to the person sitting next to you. Yo, check it out!
Yeah.
Like, can you please turn that down?
No, this is when it gets good.
This is the good part. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of plugging headphones in, you plug in like Logitech speakers.
Connect to someone else's Bluetooth.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping
go ahead
it
and
up.
take us out then.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll be wrapping it up. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube channels.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.